G'day, I'm Sam and this is the 2026 Kawasaki KX250. Now over the years this bike has been the perfect transition machine for a lot of people, going from small bikes to big bikes, or whether you're returning to riding for the first time in a while. It's been really admired for its sure-footed handling, stable ergonomics and engine. It's a great all-round package, and I've found that myself. I've owned 2 or 3 of these over the years and have found whether I'm riding every weekend or every 6 months, it's been a really easy bike to live with and to learn on. For 2026 though, Kawasaki wants the KX250 to stand out for different reasons, and today we want to know why. They've changed a lot with this bike in 2025. 2026 is virtually a carryover of that machine, and this is our first serious test on it. We're at the Wollongong Motorcycle Club. Let's get to it. Now, in looking at the 2026 Kawasaki KX250, we've got to kind of take a look at the KX450, because this new platform has basically adopted a lot of the changes that were made to the KX450 for 2024. In essence, they've wanted to really update this machine and I guess address a lot of the long-held criticisms that Kawasaki's have had for their KX range. I'm talking things like the crappy grips, or the plastics that wore out really easily, the long, much maligned chain roller that wore out after a few rides as well. Kawasaki have made some fundamental changes that address a lot of those criticisms, but they've also aimed at making this bike more competitive than before. This 250 field now is seriously stacked. You've got bikes out there with a lot more horsepower. You know, the Triumph TF 250 that we recently rode, love that bike. Of course, Yamaha's YZ250F is constantly at the pointy end of this class as well. So for Kawasaki, I guess they've gone from wanting to produce a bike that's stable and user-friendly to perhaps being a little bit more appealing at the top end of the class. And I guess key to that for 2026 is the engine in this machine. So Kawasaki have made quite a few drastic changes to the engine itself. You've got a new center port exhaust, you've got a new intake system, there's a new piston design, a new balancer as well, designed to give this bike more bottom end than before. We knew that the 2024 KX250 was really good at the top end of the dial. This apparently is an engine designed to give you more low-end punch to match machines like the Triumph, like the Yamaha as well. The engine now is wrapped around a redesigned frame that's virtually adapted from the KX450. So I'm really curious to see how that goes, what it's like, whether it upholds all the stability and things that people have loved about Kawasaki's over recent years. The other big change here is a move to Showa suspension. For about 5 years, Kawasaki had Showa on the KX450, but they had KYB kit on the KX250. They've now gone to a Showa setup. It's a fully adjustable 49mm fork, fully adjustable shock as well. Taking a look around this bike, not only have they addressed some of the criticisms, but I guess they've really moved the needle with some things that needed moving the needle on as well. So electronics has had a big update. You no longer have to go through this coupling here and physically swap it out to change rider modes. You've got the Kawasaki Rideology app as well, which allows you to make changes like mapping and things like that. So we'll hopefully play around a bit with that today. You've got different maps, you've got traction control, you've got launch control as well. Disappointingly, with this bike, so on the KX450 you get a Brembo front brake. This still persists with the Nissan front brake and system there. Nissan rear brake as well. Very sort of standard sizes here, 240mm, 250mm rotors as well. Everything else here is sort of carryover from before, so you don't have any sort of tricked sprockets. You do get the Dunlop MX34 rubber. And as for all important price, $14,444 right away in Australia, which is kind of line ball with everything else that's out there at the moment. In terms of other key numbers, 109 kilograms fully fueled this bike. That makes it the heaviest bike in the 250 class. So I'm really hoping the engine can kind of do its bit to keep it on the boil. It feels quite slim. I'm going to play around with some different things too to see air filter access and all the rest. This is our very first ride of this machine. So yeah, let's get to it. Wollongong Motorcycle Club. It is a home favourite for me. Check out the Mount Kembla 2-stroke cup if you haven't already seen it. It's a great facility and it's just been overhauled. So let's experience the 2026 KX250. So
2026 KX250. It's really funny. I've said from the start that I've owned a few of these, and I do feel like it's a little bit like home. Even though there are generational changes, it's still a bike you can get on and have a lot of fun on. And I'm really interested today to hear the opinions of not only, I guess, from a vet perspective, which I'll be providing, but the young up-and-comer as well that's going to be giving us his insights, because we are at different ends of the spectrum in terms of speed. But I guess starting out in terms of the vet thing, the changes they have made feel like in a way they've kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul a little bit. They've provided more bottom end with this bike, so there is a little bit more bottom end at the expense potentially of top end. But in saying that, there's so many times I found that I couldn't just lean on the torque that was available. You had to be in the exact right gear and to know what you were doing and to really be onto it to feel like you were getting the most out of the bike. That was the first session. Come back, we made some big changes to the mapping and the suspension. That's where I feel like we really unlocked a little bit more with this 2026 model. The mapping, as you'll see in the overlay, you can go into Kawasaki's maps. It's not as intuitive as the power tuner system from Yamaha. You can't keep tabs of your hour meter, things like that. And it's not actually 100% sure whether you're actually implementing the changes or not, but we did make one map that changed both the fuel ignition, the ignition timing and the fueling the bike was receiving. And that gave it a lot more bottom end response and meant that you weren't so prone to making missteps when you weren't in the right gear, if that makes sense. So yeah, that streamlined things. And then we changed the clickers as well, which unlocked another thing as well. So as standard, the bike was 7 clicks out with the compression. I can't remember what it was for the rebound, but I think we went back to 5 clicks out for the rebound. We changed 5 clicks out for the compression. We changed the rebound by 4 clicks. It was okay. Then we went the other way. We went to 12 clicks out to really soften the fork. And I found all along, like at the top of the stroke particularly, there's a bit of a harshness there. I think you're going to need to fine tune with this KX. That's definitely clear from the outset, but I wasn't able to get to a setting here at Mount Kembla that I was 100% happy with. It just felt very harsh at the end of the stroke. And then when you softened it too much, it took away that harshness, but then it was sort of blowing through. It felt like you were spending a lot of time in the mid-range of the stroke. But we've sort of found a happy medium in the end. I think it was 3 clicks out with the compression. The rebound we changed as well. We tweaked the rear a little bit as well, and that sort of gave us the best feeling. So in terms of a vet rider, one ride every few months, I got the buzz that I came here for. I felt really comfortable after a little while. We slid the box through the triple clamp as well, and that it meant that the bike felt a little bit more stable, but it was at the expense of delivering agility. Just felt like you really needed to stick your knee in but looking to get it to move. Other little observations in terms of ergos, I was quite happy. You do sit quite down in the bike. If anything, I'd really like to play with the hanger mounts at the end, and we haven't been able to do that today. And also the pegs. I feel like you would open up the top this more amount if we went to the lowest setting of the peg on this bike. As it was, I just felt like the bars were a little bit in my lap and I wasn't 100% comfortable. Grip and purchase on the side plates wasn't too bad. I'm really not a fan of the aesthetics of this muffler. It looks like a megaphone hanging out the back, but that's a story for another time. And then in terms of plastics, Kawis have long been sort of admonished by people for plastics being a little bit brittle. This maybe is a tiny step in the right direction, but if you look at this bike already with a couple of rides on it, and there's already some alignment issues with the plastics, I think, it could be better, certainly not as good as some of the other manufacturers out there. Let's bring in a different perspective though. We've got young Kobi Wise. Come on in, hello.
So I brought Kobi in because basically he's experienced every 250F that's currently out there. He's currently riding a YZ250, but what else have you had in the garage recently?
I've had KTMs, Hondas, and then, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay. But 125s, 250s?
Oh, yeah, I've had
all kinds of different things, right? Yeah.
Everything, basically.
Now, you're currently on a really heavily modified YZ250. It's got the second injector, it's got the Vortex ignition, the suspension. Almost feels like Supercross suspension in the front. So tell me, out of the box, what were your expectations of this and what did you actually think of it?
I actually thought the bike was better than what I expected. Okay. It had a fair bit of like bottom end torque, but same as what you were saying. If you weren't in the right gear, it didn't carry, like the torque wasn't actually great. Yeah. But if you're in the right gear, it was good. and it kind of ran out of legs at the top end.
Yeah.
But I did actually enjoy it.
Okay. I noticed Kobi being quite a bit quicker than me, he was spending a lot of time in the higher RPM and really leaning on the gearbox. And I guess that was one of your initial criticisms, wasn't it, with the upshifts, particularly under load?
Yeah, under load, when I was on the throttle and I would go to shift, say second to third or third to fourth, I had struggle shifting, like it didn't want to shift. I had to like chop the throttle to shift and then get back on it again.
Yeah.
That was, something that I didn't really like about it.
Yeah. And even the shift itself is quite notchy, that's what I noticed. It's certainly not as notchy as, say, the Triumph 250 from a couple of years ago, but it's not as smooth as some of the other bikes out there. And I was lucky enough to back and forth between this and Kobi's new 250F as well, the Wise today, and I noticed straight away it felt so much smoother. I guess the other big talking point with this bike is the hydraulic clutch. Did you like it? You're on a cable clutch. What do you think of the hydraulic clutch?
It was alright, but I would prefer a cable clutch. I felt like I couldn't find the point where I could control the power through the corner. It was like either on or off.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent. I'm with you there. And you're obviously leaning on it more to get it, but I found instances where you would come out of a tight rut and you'd want a little bit more gas, so you'd clutch it, but then the thing you'd want to kind of wheel stick.
Yeah, I found myself wheeling out of ruts a fair bit today because I didn't have enough, like, I wanted more and it was like on or off and then it would just go boom.
Yeah. The suspension was a really interesting one today because, you know, logic would tell you that if it's busy at the top, maybe if you stiffen the hell out of it, it'll slow things down and make it feel less frantic. But that didn't really work today, did it? We tried both ends of the scale and I didn't feel 100% comfortable. I feel like maybe you'd want to respring the bike, revalve it for yourself. I think you'd have to go that extra mile again though.
Yeah, I don't know, I had struggles with the harshness in the fork, and then when it went softer, just blew all the way through it, but it kind of got rid of that harsh feeling. But then when we went the other way, it was still harsh, but it didn't blow through. It was like, I don't know, it was very finicky. I think you'd have to play with it to get it right.
Yeah, okay. I guess we should mention here, we're riding a bike, out of the box. We haven't changed too much. Obviously the clickers today, which did make a difference. The mapping made a huge difference, but you've still got all the rigidity of a brand new bike really. So I guess this is one of those things that maybe once you spent more time in it, get a bit more flex into the frame, get used to it more, get acquainted with it, maybe you will get more comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like at about the 5 to 10 hour mark is when a bike's at its best.
Yeah.
Like you feel comfortable on it, the frame's bedded in, everything's loosened up a little bit, and I feel like that's when the bike's at its best.
Okay. So, would you race one?
Yeah, I guess.
You would?
I reckon I would.
A hard yes, there you go.
Yeah.
I think it's been really interesting food for thought this. I reckon, and it's good to have both of our opinions here because as a vet rider I liked it, I really liked it. But that's not to say I wouldn't make changes to it. I reckon, you definitely feel its weight, it feels lethargic. The standard maps that we played with today, it lacked a bit of punch, didn't it? You really wanted more from it, and when you asked for it, it didn't really give it to you.
Yeah, it was like it kind of needed a bit of waking up. Like off the bottom, it like didn't really want to go, but once it got going, it went. If that makes sense. Like it didn't want to. It needed that little extra bit of punch to get it out of the corners.
Yeah, and I guess that's the takeaway here. Maybe an ignition, pipe, and some suspension, and you have yourself a dream bike, and that's whether you're a vet rider or a young gun like Kobi. So 2026 Kawasaki KX250. Hey, thanks for your insights today and making us look good. It's good.
That's all right. Thanks for the opportunity.
Stay tuned to the channel. We're going to have more reviews coming up. Hopefully the KX450 as well. We might even bring Kobi along for a few more if he promises not to,